Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic this morning, and I am mostly on time. Yay! I need to have a little cheering section thing. Just let them make sure everybody knows. Can everybody hear me and see me? Let me know. It's just one of those. I've got a new setup here, so hopefully it all works out just fine. But I did press a button on the mic, so I may have accidentally turned my mic off. So that's always entirely possible. So exciting to have you guys here this morning. So much going on. We obviously have Catherine at Wimbledon today. Meghan Markle, of course, doing another paparazzi stroll. This time she bought a bouquet of flowers wearing a giant bag. So good. All right. And you guys can see and hear me. Great. And then we also have some interesting comments on Twitter from Meghan's a personal photographer. And I'm just curious if I'm overreacting or if there's something bigger going on, because I thought it was very interesting what he said, because it seemed to be a subtle dig at Catherine and William. And yet at the same time could be calling out the media, but felt like a dig at Catherine and William. So we will maybe go into that a bit today, but I just wanted to wish you guys all, first of all, a happy Saturday of royal watching. Hopefully we'll see Catherine and maybe William tomorrow again for the men's final, maybe even George and Charlotte. That would be so fun. So I just want to say, though, quick good mornings. Good morning to Lynn. Good morning to Noodle Rama from Germany. Howdy from Germany. Awesome. Water Dragon said, oh, did Meghan lose her ring? Oh, no. Oh, wait, no. She would have whined about it. LOL. This is from Water Dragon. Yeah, I felt like we haven't seen Meghan's engagement ring in quite a while. I don't know why that is. I posited that maybe she's upgrading the diamond because, again, she really did hate her engagement ring. I think she upgraded it the first chance she got to add, the pave diamonds around the band and everything. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if she has more things she wants to do with it. So that'll be interesting to see. We got good morning from Wendy and Debbie, who's responding to Water Dragon saying, because she's planning to make the big move, I think Harry should file for divorce first, try to save face and not give her the opportunity to whittle him down to nothing. Yes, because once again, it's Meghan doing this solo paparazzi stroll, and it could be that perhaps Harry just doesn't want to play that game anymore. So if you guys haven't seen, let me go ahead and bring it up here real quick. I felt like there was a lot going on this morning, and then I was trying to figure out, I was responded to Masan, who's Meghan's personal photographer basically, and I'm like, was I wrong? Was he wrong? So let's go ahead and pull up real quick this extra bit right here so we can see Meghan Markle at the farmers market. There she is, smiling, looking right at the camera. So, once again, which I find funny, because again, the press office at Buckingham Palace told her, when you smile at the photographers and the paparazzi guys, it looks like you're enjoying it. So don't do that. And of course, she still always does it. She can't help but smile. And she has this gigantic bag here, and it looks like it's mostly empty. I kind of joked on Twitter, it's as empty as their business empire. And she brought her dog, which you're technically not supposed to bring your dog to these things. And so she puts maybe the flowers in her, oh yeah, they are in her bag. But anyways, sorry, it's slow to get up. But yeah, you're not supposed to bring your dogs. And she's walking with a security guard. I'm sure that's who that guy is. My always thought has been, from Harry and Meghan, it's you guys don't need to walk around with security all the time. I really don't think anybody cares that much. But maybe that's just me. So I thought that was, yeah, of course, the day Catherine goes, Meghan has to do it. So Tanya argues that she pawned it. She might have. And so we also have Meow Rhonda. Good morning. Carol from Florida. Debbie swims with whales. Ooh, you swim with whales. Fun. Orty and John G. She disengaged. That's good. That is good. Disengaged. That is awesome. We have Debbie, Christina, Maria, Jane, Elaine, and Reese College, who asked, hi, Brittany, I really enjoy coming here and listening to your great content about the British royal family and other European royals. Your fashion channel is great too. Why, thank you. I'm really excited this week. I'm going to, I was still recovering a bit. My sister got married last weekend, which was super exciting, which is why we did not have a live stream, which was great. And it was really wonderful, absolutely fabulous to see family and friends. It was just a really, really exciting day. Although we had this massive storm roll in right as they were doing their vows, which was kind of funny because it was hard sometimes to hear them over the sound of the rain hitting the roof because it was a hard rain and big thunder and lightning and stuff. So they definitely got a very exciting, you could say, start to their marriage. So, but hey, it was a wonderful day. God was there, so I think we were all very excited about that, and obviously to see the family expand, which was really good thing. So yes, I'm excited though to get back to everything because I kind of took a little. I was watching my sister's dog this week as well, so I took a little bit of time to kind of recover because felt like it's been a long little bit, and we had tummy issues with the dog, so all sorts of fun stuff. It's like when it rains, it pours, everything goes. And so yeah. So we have what do that? I finally made it. Good morning from Manitoba, Canada. Why, good morning. Good morning from Manitoba. Oh, and South Africa from Van. Good afternoon. Oh, it's always amazing to me to see the people from all over the world on here. It's just so exciting. It's so exciting. Hello from Portland, Texas. It's 9 a.m. hot and humid. Yes, I'm almost ready for summer to be over. It's pretty hot where I am too. And I'm like, I'm kind of done with summer. So Asma asked, yes, how was your sister's wedding? I just shared a little bit about that. It was great. What is that fancy device with the colorful lights behind you? That is a fantastic question, Noodlerama. So that is called it's the Rodecaster Pro, I think, number 2. So it's basically like a little mini, almost radio studio, you could call it. And it was what I actually tried to use last week when I did the question and answer segment, that the sound quality was awful. And so I maybe will wait because there'll be a couple weeks because I'll be in the process. I'll be in Germany with a group of people, Germany and Austria, and I may refilm it and then leave it for another time later. But so this helps capture audio in a really good way and helps with obviously multiple audio channels as well. So it is a fancy contraption. I don't know probably how to fully use it, but it will come in handy, and think, especially because I have a podcast idea, other ideas that I would like to do. And it helps, especially because sometimes I like to record audio directly into the video editing software that I use, especially for the fashion videos. And so that thing is very helpful because it plugs right into the computer. And I can do that. Usually I actually record it on my camera, then take the SD card out, transfer it. So if I need to change something, that means I need to put the SD card back in, take it out of the camera. Complicated things most people don't need to know. But if I can record it directly in, that means if I need to adjust a little bit of track, then I can just do it directly in the computer. So that's why that thing is very, very nice. And so it helps with that and audio quality and stuff, but still learning how to use it. But yeah, that is the fancy thing over there in the corner with all the lights. All right, and we have 2 super stickers here. Trina, good morning from Canada, or from Calgary. Hi, Trina. How are you doing? It's so good to hear from you. And then we have Karen as well. Thank you so much for the tip, guys. I really appreciate it this morning. Golly bells, vibrant in your hair looks so shiny. Why, thank you. I think it's partially the lights, because it does look very bright on me. But yeah, so, and I got my hair done right before the wedding because of course you need to get your hair in the best quality possible. So yeah, let's go down here. And we have Asma says, is there a better chance of Meghan getting an acting job now that the SAG is on strike? Well, maybe. So yeah, if you I haven't heard, SAG, so this is Screen Actors Guild, is currently on strike. That means I think mostly at the end of the day, Harry and Meghan's deals are probably dead, like really, really dead now. Because without the writers, without the screen actors, there ain't nothing you can do in Hollywood. And so I think for Harry and Meghan, that's a very bad sign, especially for their Netflix deal. But again, their suggestion just sounded dull. Like the one thing that they were still sort of working on was this Miss Havisham series or whatever. And honestly, guys, that just sounded dumb. Like taking this character from a great novel written in a particular way to exemplify the times and the period and a message that what's his name? I'm forgetting his name now. Oh, he wrote David Copperfield. Anyways, that he wrote this character in a particular way. And I think to go in and say, oh, well, we're going to change that. We're going to make her a progressive feminist. And it's like, well, that's probably not the best idea. So we do have the Samurai Hobbit. Thank you so much for the tip. Is there a possibility Harry will end up stateless if he's hopefully deported from the US? Now, I really don't think he'll be deported from the US. Obviously, we really haven't gotten anywhere with that particular case. The Freedom of Information Act request has been rejected. The White House and counselors, whatever, has rejected any attempts to dig into what Harry's visa status is, although they obviously as well don't know who left a particular drug in the White House, which they should know, in one of the most, you could say, surveilled and watched and security fortresses in the world. They don't know who left a baggie of illegal substances. So there's a question of how good our government is at things. But I don't think Harry would ever be deported. It would just be too much of a political nightmare. However, I will say again, it doesn't make the administration look particularly good. It doesn't make Harry look particularly good. It just really puts, I think, a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And I think it's just a bad look from Prince Harry. I really do think it is. And he's obviously some guy who probably is still apparently taking hallucinogenics and perhaps other drugs. Certain drugs are legal in California. They're probably trying to expand that because it is California. But I just think it's a sad case. But yeah, the government's not going to do anything. Again, it would be a political nightmare, so they don't want to do that. Oh, Wendy, thank you so much for the tip as well. You are so kind. I do appreciate it this morning. That's so sweet. So Teresa asked, do you have any pictures of your sister's wedding? How your dress looked? I'm waiting for like the official ones. I think there was a picture we took together. I just felt like I didn't look particularly good that day. So I was like, oh, I don't want to see. But we will see here probably, hopefully without too long. Maybe I can wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The photographer is like, can you slim my face a bit? So I look just a smidge better. But I'm going to be going to the gym here, as like the town I live in doesn't really have one. So I'll have to go a little further out. But I'm looking forward to getting back in the gym here and getting more fitness conscious here a bit soon, because I do need it. And I also need to work on my arms, because I need to develop my arm strength for holding those cameras at those big events, because the camera is heavy. So I need to work on my arm strength because sometimes my arm just got really tired. Asma asked, why was Harry celebrating the 4th of July when he called the First Amendment bonkers? Well, I will be fair to him. It's like, everybody does something on the 4th of July. Most things are closed and it's something to do. I will say though, I don't think he gets the irony. Sadly, I don't think Harry gets a lot of what I think the poor guy is so confused about sometimes what went so wrong for him. I think he really is. He blames the media, but I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's wondering if it's him. And Harry, it's you. It is you. It is you. Just in case you're wondering, it's you. Jenny says, I feel like Meg never progressed past middle school. Disturbing. Is she redeemable? Doubt it. I would agree. I think Meghan is an incredibly immature person. And she reminds me of somebody who just never matured past high school or middle school in terms of how she interacts with people. It's just really, all of it is very surface. And she just doesn't seem like a very nice person, really. And I think she can be very charming. I think she can be exceptionally charming to you when she wants something from you. And then she can flip the switch like 10 seconds later and be absolutely miserable to you. So I just think it depends on what day you catch her on. But I do think it's interesting that the people who worked most closely with her for 7 years, the cast of Suits, don't really hang out with her as far as we're aware, except for Abigail Spencer. But again, Meghan is also the type of person who attracts like people. So she is, I think, can only truly be friends with people who are desperate for the Hollywood thing like she is. I don't think she can be friends with like true stars and stuff like that, because she is essentially always a desperate D-list actress looking for fame and fortune. That's what I think anyways. That's just my personal opinion. Colleen says she goes absolutely nowhere with the children. I mean, I hope those kids leave the house, because honestly, it's a question. We only ever see those kids out of the house for the 4th of July, which is crazy when you think about it. But, you know, Montecito is very much out of the way. I've said this before. It's like when you see a paparazzi picture of Meghan and Montecito, like, you know, it's set up, because the paparazzi don't stay in Montecito, because could be an hour or two. It's like at least an hour, if not 2 hours, depending on the traffic, away from Los Angeles, where most of the celebrities are. Basically, all the major celebrities are in Los Angeles. So why would you park yourself in Montecito on the hold on. Nope. Okay. Can you guys see me now? Can you see me now? I like it, Maria. Miss Pippa pulled out a wire. I don't know, guys. I think the streaming service or either YouTube was like totally went down because I was like totally fine. My internet's supposedly good, and it just went boom on me. So I am so sorry, guys. I think YouTube's still having a tough time coming. So I think it's something with YouTube, or I use something called StreamYard to help me stream, which is really helpful. And yeah, so I am back, guys. And so I was just like talking, and all of a sudden it froze, and then it went down. I was like, no, I don't know what went wrong. So yeah, it was just really weird, really weird. So sorry, guys. I think it was literally something with YouTube or StreamYard or both of them or something because they both went at the same time. So yeah, I was like, wait, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So I'm so excited that it came back. So sorry, guys. So sorry. Thank you so much for sticking with it if you did. And I think it's kind of messed up a bit, but we'll go over here to because I'm waiting for some of the rest of my feed to load because I kind of got off. But we'll go to Kaylin here real quick with a super chat saying, "Hey Brittany, I just had a quick question before I leave for work today. What did you think of Catherine's outfits at Wimbledon this year?" So I am loving the outfit today. I really do like self-portrait. Some of the stuff tends to get too fussy at times, but I really do like their outfits that have the like almost a blazer and a skirt. I do think those are really pretty. I like a lot of those. And so I really do like the look. I'm pretty sure I've seen it on the malls before because I do check out their site. There's a couple things I've almost ordered from their sale and haven't. I do have one sale item from them though. And it's the black dress Catherine wore to the service of remembrance last year. So I do think that dress is really pretty. And I love them because they're kind of like robes. And so it's fun to put them on. I love things that are kind of like robes because they're so easy to put on. And so I just do really, really like that. And so I like that, but I wasn't a big fan of her mint blazer combo today. I just really wasn't, or on like earlier the week. It just felt way too 80s for me. And I know sometimes her style is getting there because she really likes Alessandra Riche, which reminds me of the 80s and other things. So I'm just not a huge personal fan of that. So yes, and I'm so sorry, you guys. It looks like I lost part of the stream before everything froze. I've lost part of that stream. So if you asked a question earlier, feel free to put it back in because I can't see it. It's not letting me scroll back up there. So yes, it will. So sorry about that again. um, Deborah says Harry, Meghan, and PR team are spamming the life out of us since New York debacle, changing name, working separately, Africa, politics, 4th of July picks, cough, cough, as family, bodyguard to Tig. Yes, well, the Tig as rumor has been around for quite a bit. I did a video about the Tig resurgence, I think in November last year, because that's been floated. And really, I think that's the only thing Meghan has anymore is that. This Netflix stuff and Spotify things have been epic disasters all around. There's just no real way about it. And Meghan, again, to me, she just doesn't have a lot of talent. She doesn't want to work hard. And that's basically what Spotify said, is that they weren't working. They couldn't get them to produce content. And so they had to drop them. And so I think that is where Meghan has to go, and potentially Harry as well. I put in my newsletter that I thought his brand should be WIMP, how to ruin your life in 12 easy steps. Because I feel somewhat bad for the guy, because I think he did go to this California thing thinking Meghan had it all figured out. That they would go, that it would be fantastic because she knows everything. She knows everyone. They'll have this great time and they'll be incredibly successful. And that really hasn't happened. And I'm sure that does damage some of Harry's faith in Meghan to a certain extent. So, yes. So Cheryl says, question, you had mentioned in another video, Prince George will reach his majority. Usually that's the term they use for when somebody becomes like 18. And so, yeah, that's a possibility. So that's what that means. So I think he'll reach 18 in just 8 years now, basically. And I know that seems like far away, but it seemed far away when he would become like grow up and be 10. So he is continuing to grow, and they'll just become adults here before we know it. And again, once the royal family, the Waleses, all become adults and everything, and once they start their own families in about 20 years, Harry and Meghan will really become obsolete by then. Maria says, sorry, I blame Miss Pippa. Oh, no worries. She doesn't mind. I was looking for her for a second. So I leave the bathroom door open because sometimes she likes to lay on the tile. So yeah, she's fine. She's like, oh, I get it. She's like, if I wanted all of my mom's attention, I would have pulled the cord out. And now she's coming over and saying hi a little bit. She's waiting around. Was George's security name Archie? That's been reported. I don't know that for sure, but that has been reported. Kitsy says, I still remember that gold gown she wore. It was stunning. Yes. The one to the James Bond premiere. I think that's probably her most iconic look right now, with I think perhaps the engagement dress still being like a close second. That's a very iconic dress as well. Deborah says, did you see Princess Beatrice and Edo at Wimbledon? I did. So I thought she looked great. She wore an Amelia Wickstead dress, and I thought she looked absolutely fabulous. And so I hope they enjoyed it. It looks like Catherine's the only one there today. I imagine Catherine and William will attend tomorrow because she usually gives out the trophies, along with perhaps George, maybe even Charlotte. I think that would be a lot of fun. Although I don't know how interested Charlotte is in tennis. I feel like maybe that's a little bit more George than Charlotte, but I could be totally wrong. Karen says, currently weeding my way through Revenge. Yes, I know I'm late to the party. Meghan is coming across as vacuous, self-indulgent, and spoiled. No wonder her and Harry got along so well. Wow. Yes, I think she does. And I think, again, you can also see the lack of effort and talentlessness that she had there, and that she didn't really want to work. You get that impression, or that she didn't even want to hone her craft of acting. And again, yeah, she's vain, she's vapid. She thinks she's a deep person, but she's very shallow, actually. Eric says, take 2 is Meghan walking the picket line. Probably not. That would be too hard. And she probably doesn't, she's probably still a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Because again, she said she didn't understand pretty much, although I'm paraphrasing, this is not quite what she said, but she said in her Oprah Winfrey interview, she's like, I had a union that took care of me, as if she wanted the royals to unionize. And I'm like, honey, you could go to any doctor in the world, the best ones in the world, very discreetly if you needed help with something, but you wanted to complain to your husband, then complain to Oprah about it and not actually get help. So Brittany, do you think the RF will take Harry and Meghan back as working royals? No. They may take Harry back, but I don't think they would ever take Meghan back. There's no trust in Meghan. They do not like her, and she's done nothing to change that perspective. And I think they're smart enough to realize at this point that if Harry needs an inroad back, they would give it to him, but never to her. Asma, what's the latest on the York sisters and Catherine and William? As far as I know, they get along fairly well, but I've heard too that there is not a lot of, I don't want to say trust, but was some tension between them. I've heard before. So, Peggy says, "Hi, Brittany. Just wondering if you caught, according to Taz's timeline, with how Meghan got from being a B-list actor to meeting Harry. It was quite interesting. Thank you for all you do. The Royals, love it all." Oh, thank you, Peggy. That is so sweet of you. I appreciate the tip. I haven't watched that video yet, but I did see it come through my feed. It is very interesting because when I first heard of Meghan, I honestly thought my first instinct was, oh, she's a low-ranking actor with no real prospects, and she's just floating this relationship out there for clout and interest. That was my first thought when I heard of Meghan Markle, because I hadn't heard of her before. I've heard of Suits, but I had never heard of her before. So I was actually really surprised that the story was true, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's nobody. So, but she had worked very hard of getting through all these various hoops to be in the royal sphere, and so she social climbed very well. But again, I've never understood why she didn't take the easy answer and date Harry and then dump him and then get some of the acting roles she was never going to get before. I'm like, why would she do that? That would have been so much easier, because then you wouldn't have to deal with all the scrutiny. Because what Meghan doesn't like is the scrutiny that royalty brings her. She wants the clout and the fame, but she doesn't like that she's held to account for things. That really bothers her, I think. And she doesn't understand why people do that. And it's like, well, that's kind of how it happens. Tori says, do you think Meghan will have a career as an influencer? I don't think she'll have a career in general. I think that's the only career she can really have, to be honest, is an influencer at this point. Once you renege on contracts, it's one thing again to clash with the producers in terms of, well, I have this vision, they have this vision, and we're clashing over this. And it's one thing too to be exceptionally talented. Now you could say whatever you want about these gentlemen. So I'm thinking of, oh gosh, Woody Allen and the other guy. Not he directed like Rosemary's Baby, and I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on his name right now. They were both gotten caught in controversy, and I think definitely Woody Allen should have been canceled a lot much before he was, but he was exceptionally talented, so people gave him a pass. And not that that's right at all. I'm just saying that it's so much easier to rebuild your career when you have a talent to begin with, even when you're erupted in controversy. Meghan doesn't have that. She'd never had the talent. I actually, FYI, so last night I filmed a video reacting to the first episodes of Suits, because I thought, oh, this would be interesting, because I've never seen it. I've seen her introductory clip, which I think puts her character in a terrible light. And obviously she couldn't help that. That was the script, but I didn't particularly like it. And so I thought, well, I'll watch the whole thing. So I have a reaction video to it. I just need to pull out clips, and I want to do a good job on that. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. But it was just interesting to see. I mean, she really is a pretty bad actress, to be quite honest. So I think influencing is her best career bet. So Diz fan, thank you so much for the tip. Rumor going around, Harry called William to see if there's a way getting back to the UK. Do you believe this? And if so, are we getting close to divorce since Harry and Meghan are going separate ways? I don't know if I totally believe the phone call yet. I would believe it maybe after a divorce has been filed, maybe. But I mean, I only ever gave them 5 years, and and I'm surprised, guys. I was almost completely right. Yes, they have not filed for divorce, but basically, as soon as they hit the 5-year mark, it was clear things are diverting. And I totally call that, because they have nothing in common. They have nothing in common besides, being children of divorce. I think is the only thing they have actually in common with each other. And I mean, I think they're both vain and vapid and immature and different things like that. But when it comes to having like activities they do together, they have none. Harry likes to go to Africa. He liked to hunt. He liked to hang out with the boys and the lads, and he liked to drink and party. And Meghan has none of those things in common. I don't think she likes Africa. She only went back there after, I think she went there twice, maybe with him for a dating romantic weekend, then never again, except for royal tours. She never wanted to go to Africa again. I don't think she ever really wanted to go to Africa. She just wanted to seduce Harry. And so she has none of his passion for the continent. And again, I hate to say it, and not that I'm saying that they should get together, but Chelsea Davy makes so much more sense as his wife than Meghan Markle, just because Chelsea Davy actually loves Africa. She spends time there. She has a jewelry company. She has a travel company. And the life she's created, I think, is something Harry would have truly enjoyed if he had the guts and the gumption to leave the royal family, if he was truly unhappy, and to make Chelsea happy because she didn't like the limelight. Whereas Meghan loves the limelight, says she hates it. She actually loves it. And he perhaps doesn't to a certain extent, but they're together because she wants the limelight, and he does like the limelight, but he also is somebody who, again, just doesn't have the guts to do what he should have done. So the Samurai Hobbit, thank you so much for the tip. You notice how Brits aren't too harsh when talking about the monarchy, but when it comes to any PM in the past 20 years, you think they might as well have asked them what they think of root canals. Yeah, that's somewhat true. Obviously, prime ministers get a lot of the force, but they also make serious decisions that impact people in their day-to-day lives in terms of taxes, war, different sorts of things in that direction. Whereas the royals don't. The reason royalty is, I think, so much better in a way is because it stays above the fray. They don't get into the politics. They're not making policy. They're not making decisions that impact people in their day-to-day lives. They're just doing the same thing that they've done for now 100 years or so in terms of the slow decrease of the monarchy's power in a way. But they've been doing the same things. And so I think the public is just like, yeah, that's fine. And so they just don't get as much of the hate. And I think that's totally fine. So we'll go over here. April City Girl to Country Wife says, Brittany, do you think Harry is in any kind of panic knowing that for the first time he has to defend himself financially and not having many options? If he's not, he should. He should be panicking. I mean, their business prospects are smashing into the ground. And again, they could be paid a lot for certain things, but again, you have to have talent, and they don't have much. And talent, you have to have some innate stuff, sure, which I'm sure Meghan to a certain extent did as an actor. And somebody said, well, you need to work on it, do stage, do other things, work on honing your craft. And what did Meghan do? Well, I'm just so hot, I don't need to worry about that. Well, as it turns out, yeah, you do. And the only way you get better is by practicing. Watch my first couple of videos. I'm a lot stiffer. I don't think I sound quite as good. There was a video where I said like all the time, and I had to edit it out. And you want to know what I did with the next one? I didn't say I say more here on the live stream because it's more of a conversation. But when it comes to my videos, I've basically eliminated from my dictation. I still say some things I probably shouldn't, but it was crazy to me that Meghan just didn't want to work on anything and just thought she was perfect. If you came into this thing thinking at any point that you're perfect at something and you can't learn anything, that is, I think, something you should take into account. I did talk to somebody once who, they enjoyed writing, but they didn't want anybody to tell them how to make their writing better because that person wouldn't know anything. When it came to like a college professor or something, I was like, no, they can teach you things. And granted, they can't teach you everything. I did a program once where I learned a bit more about writing. And while I didn't take everything that they showed me, because some of it didn't apply to what I wanted to do, I did learn a little bit of something, and I'm going to include it actually in the podcast I'm thinking about and formulating. And that's because you do need to, people can help you. And Meghan, I don't think ever wanted to work on anything. She never wanted to make anything better. She always thought she was perfect. Like she even said, she's like, I did everything for the monarchy. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't try. You didn't learn. And so that's why you crashed and burned. So I think it's very interesting. So Laura, thank you so much for the tip as well. Hi from Edmonton, Alberta. Do you know if Harry can annul his marriage? And if so, would Meg's lose her title? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can annul your marriage here in the States. I think the biggest thing that Harry could annul under is fraud, saying he was told Meghan was something and she wasn't. The most famous annulment fraud case in terms of celebrity is when Renee Zellweger married Kenny Chesney. She cited fraud in their annulment. And that was huge. Or it was divorce, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it was actually an annulment because they're only married about 3 months. And so that's something just very interesting to consider as a possibility. I don't know what the law is in terms of the UK, how annulment works there, because divorce there works a little bit differently too. And I don't know if they would have to, I would assume since they're living in the States, they would have to file in the States, but there would also be an impact in the UK. So on that front, I'm not quite sure, but that would be my thought in terms of what he could cite under is fraud, and that he was sold something by her in terms of who she is that she wasn't actually. So, and we go here. My cat's name is Kieran. Thank you so much for the tip as well. So excited I caught your live today. I missed it for a month, so I made a special point to catch it today. Love from Pensacola. Why, thank you. I'm so glad you were able to catch it. I know it's been a crazy day, especially with the internet going down briefly. I don't know what happened. So it was interesting because it was funny because I pulled up YouTube because I was like, oh, maybe I'll jump to YouTube instead of StreamYard that I use. And YouTube was having a tough time coming up. So I think it was maybe an issue on YouTube's end. So we'll see. Ella, good morning as well. Thank you so much for the tip, for your epic response to Miss Son this morning, as if he really cares about the whales, this kid. Yes. So this was, I want to pull it. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Because it was just, it was like he was calling out the media, yet at the same time, it felt like he was criticizing Catherine and William. And I'm like, no, wait, you don't get it. So this is what he said. And let me see if I can pull it up here real quick, because I was just curious about your guys' thoughts too. So he said, let's go here. So he says, I really wish the press would stop filming these babies all the time. Let them be. It doesn't feel right. Even if it's a formal press call, they should just publish the setup shots and not this candid observation stuff, especially when they're so small. Does advertising revenue matter more than protecting these kids? Come on, folks. Also, some of the comments on Twitter are abhorrent. We have to do better than this. So... yeah, I just thought that was like, because I felt like he was criticizing Catherine and William for bringing their kids to engagements, but I'm like, but that's what they have to do. All the royals do that. And we also get all the royal kids in various states of chaos. Leonor in Sweden ran around the christening of, I think it was her younger brother, and was just like chaos incarnate. She was chaos incarnate for quite a while. She was a very wild child. You could see. There's also the Dutch baptism, where the kids are basically rolling on the floor. Like they're just everywhere, sprawled out over the altar. One of the young Dutch royals was getting baptized, and they brought all the kids, and they're all toddlers, and they're just all over the place. And that is just part of royal life, though, is you need those candid things. You need those setup shots because it's important. And I felt like he just didn't get that stuff. And it comes across bad too, because it's like he's Meghan and Harry's personal photographer, basically. He's like the personal photographer. And I'm like, come on now. It's just a little crazy that it comes across, I think, as quite poorly, because he does have such a personal connection to Harry and Meghan. And you can almost feel the unsaid nature of, well, Archie and Lily, they get to live privately. And it's like, yeah, but the kids have to be seen. This happens in all the royal families. They have to be seen because that is part of the deal, basically. If you are not connected to the royal kids now, will you ever be connected to them? It's a huge question. So anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting. Rika says, what do you do for a living besides YouTube? I do YouTube now. That is what I do for a living, which is crazy. I did have a full-time job for a while, but honestly, it was like between commuting and everything, and the videos are very, very time consuming. I was staying up until 1 or 2 in the morning quite a bit and going to work the next day. And so I was really running myself pretty ragged. And so this was, and I love doing this. I can't wait to add more things and grow this little mini empire. I don't know if you would call it an empire. Oops. Just realized my glasses, kind of condensating on my new furniture. On on my new desk here. And I just do love it though. It's so fun. It's so engaging. I love that I get to use my creative side, and I also can go back to school too. And so that makes me really excited. All right, Tessa says, did Jessica Mulroney ever comment on their friendship? No, I'd love to hear from Jessica Mulroney. I think maybe she's probably still thinking she may get back into Meghan's good graces if she just bides her time long enough. But I'd love to hear a deep dive about who Meghan really is, because again, all her friends are very similar. So it'd be really, really funny. So my cat's name is Kieran. Thank you so much for the tip. Have you heard about the negotiations between K3 and the future ex? He's offering 50 million and she wants 100. She's a freak. Seriously, girl, go home already. I don't even think Charles could pay that much, really. I don't think he could. So in either of those amounts, I don't think he could. Maybe 5. But the royals are not as cash infused as you might think. A lot of their wealth is tied up in things either that they cannot sell or physical items. So it's not in liquid cash. And I think Meghan did think a lot, like that she was going to roll in the lap of luxury. And I was like, well, honey, if you wanted a royal family with a lot of money, then you should have married into Monaco. That they have a lot of money. The rest of the royals, usually not so much. Maybe the Dutch have a decent amount, the Norwegians as well. But you know, the Swedes are, I wouldn't say are cash strapped, but they're not as cash infused as you might think. Similarly, I believe with the Belgians, definitely the Spanish, they live on a pretty tight budget. And so the English, I mean, they have probably the most impressive jewelry collection in the world. Can they sell it? No. If the monarchy dissolved, I don't even know if it would be personal property of the king. It might revert back to the state basically and be put in museums. So I don't know. But anyways, it's an interesting thing to consider. Mimi says, is it too late for Harry to hire his own PR team to clean up his image? Probably it'd be hard though. I don't know. Lizzie says, hello, my first live, and so glad I finally caught one. Hello, Brittany. And Miss Pippa. Miss Pippa says hello. I'm trying to figure out where she is. She may come over here a bit. When did you start to follow royal news and why? This is from Rika. So I started following it. Well, actually, I've followed it for a long time in a way. I worked at a library when I was in high school. So somebody had royal magazines delivered. So I took a couple of those. Obviously, I was somewhat interested when Diana died. So I got a book or two about her. And I had the Diana Beanie Baby, which I think is on my shelf. Right. No. That's the Queen's Platinum Jubilee thing. I'm trying to see. Oh, there it is. There it is. There we go. There's the Diana Beanie Baby. So I was somewhat interested in that. And then I really, and I was always interested in the jewelry. I actually did a whole report in high school on the Cullinan Diamond, which is the biggest diamond in the world in the Imperial Scepter, Imperial State Crown. So I did a whole report on that. And I also... Yeah, so I had a general interest. It wasn't though until Catherine and William got married that I got really interested in what tiara Catherine might wear. And then it just kind of devolved from there. I am a researcher at heart. I'm a historian. All the books that hopefully I'll get to read one day are on that shelf regarding royals. And then I have a bunch of books downstairs on other things as well. Pretty much all my books are history books or spiritual related books, Christian books. But I just loved history and I love research. So I have to deep dive things. So I have to read everything I can about X. And I started following a forum that's still around called Royal Dish. And so that's how I learned a lot about the other families and some of the idiosyncrasies going on in there, because we don't get the gossip here in the States really, but you know, they're Danish, Swedish, Dutch, what have you. And so they'll post about the gossip and I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. This is as interesting as the Brits. So that's how I kind of learned more. And so I just love it though, because it combines things I love, which is fashion, jewelry, history, and a little bit of gossip. That's royalty embodies all those things. And I love all those things. Monica says, I don't understand why they didn't wear a necklace to the wedding dress. I don't understand why they didn't wear a necklace to the wedding dress. I'm not sure exactly what that question means. Asma says, have you read Valentine's new chapters in his book Courtiers? I read a bit that was in the Times, but I haven't read the rest. So I don't have an updated one yet. So Rika says, have you read Celebrity Blog? They are vicious. I don't think I've read it too much. I don't think I've read that too much. Meghan Markle's legs look even thinner. Thoughts? I mean, She could be on Ozempic. Most of Hollywood is. If she is, I don't care. It's your choice, whatever you want to do. But I don't. She's very obsessed with her legs, and I really don't think her legs are her best feature. I think her face is. Her legs are smidge on the too skinny side, I think, in my personal opinion. Teresa says, do you think that Beatrice is expecting again? I don't know. It'd be lovely if she had another child. I'm sure, her mom having cancer and having that surgery, I'm sure that's very stressful. So a baby definitely brings joy, but we'll have to see. This fan says, as a Brit, Harry's return as a working role would be the downfall of King Charles. Why? And if Harry went to William, is because he holds funding for the Duchy of Cornwall. Yes. And although I will say, guys, I think if Harry goes to the public and basically says that, hey, I was swindled, I'm so sorry. You can argue he could say Meghan Markle lied to me. If he said those sorts of things, I think the public would understand and get behind it. But he would have to come from a place of, I want to apologize for my behavior. I want to apologize for introducing Meghan Markle to the rest of the world. He would have to do something like that, and that could damage his relationship with his kids. So I understand maybe why he wouldn't, but he would have to come over in some sort of apology for his behavior, I think, to be really welcomed back. Oh, my name is Kat. Thank you so much for the tip again. So happy the Queen didn't dip into her good gold for that witch's ring. Yeah. So yeah, there's only so much gold left for the wedding rings. They make the wedding rings from a special type of Welsh gold. And as far as I know, like the mines are pretty much dry at this point. So there's not much they can pull from. But it is a really cool tradition, I think. So I always love that. But again, Meghan doesn't care about traditions, history, culture. She just wants money, money, money. The Samurai Hobbit, thank you again for the tip. Do you think it's true Harry called William to ask if he and Meghan can be royal again? I call BS, even he's not that ignorant. Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think he did personally. That may come at some other point, but I don't think right now. And yes, Polanski. That was the other name I was thinking of. In terms of the directors who have a checkered past, but still get a lot of attention. Because again, if you are good, so this is Roman Polanski, if you are good, Hollywood's more likely to forgive you and embrace you than if you are a crummy actress. Meghan just doesn't have anything to pull from in that direction. So this is interesting. Andrea says Meghan was reborn on the 19th of May, 2018 and legged it off November 2019 since then her background has never really been fully exposed, or perhaps there is none. I mean, there could be none. It could be a lot of hubbubaloo over nothing in a lot of ways, because I know everybody talks about being yacht girls and everything, but I stay away from most of that because I can't prove it unless somebody comes to me with really good evidence or a major outlet reports it. I just don't want to go down that road because I can't prove it. And I like to stick with mainstream media reports because they've been through a vetting process, whereas some of these more external websites sometimes don't. Sometimes I do pull from them, but it is interesting. Sorry, it is in, I do try to be careful though of what sources I pull from, because I feel like you get the best information. Jill says, every time I see Meghan Markle, I only see her mocking like Queen Elizabeth with that horrible curtsy on Netflix. And I don't hate it, so I can't like her as a person because she's horrible. Yeah, I think that was definitely not a smart move on Meghan's part. And again, she treats it like a joke. And it's like, it's not a joke. This is serious. And all the royals, they curtsy to each other. And it's a sign of respect. You respect the institution. You respect their roles. You could respect this monarchy, and this goes for all the royals. Asma says, does Meghan have fake social media accounts? I'm sure she does. I mean, remember, I think it was in the Courtier's book that Valentine Lowe, again, who was an extremely reputable reporter, he was the only one who got what Catherine would wear at the coronation essentially right. And the palace came back and told him, how did you get that right, man? I believe he's the one who wrote that they were just constantly trolling social media, looking at posts about themselves. And I imagine that's correct. And I mean, to a certain extent, you should be aware of but not you personally. You should have other people, because it is hard to read some nasty comments. I get them from people. And so sometimes that is hard. But I mostly ignore them. And it's fun to poke at people too, every once in a while. I shouldn't do it though. It's not a very Christian thing to do. So I shouldn't do it, but sometimes it is like, did you really just say that? Water Dragon says, what constitutes an annulment? it's a bit of a higher ground than in a divorce in a way. You have to really prove something went clearly severely wrong. Given the length of time of their marriage too, I think annulment is especially unlikely. So an annulment, you could say it was done at the spur of the moment, like Britney Spears's quickie marriage in Vegas. Obviously, you're in Vegas, you could be quote unquote, drunk or something, and you didn't do it. That's where but Harry can't make that argument. Again, I think he could make an argument for fraud, but it's the question of what is the fraud, quote unquote. Monique said Harry married the wrong type of woman. Let's keep it real. He did. And I hate to say it this way, but it's true. Meghan Markle is somebody who's desperate for attention. And we saw this when she posted that picture. Then this is when I knew she was going to be bad news. Is the moment she posted on Instagram that picture of Spoon and Bananas after the news broke of her and Harry. She's baiting the media with that completely and totally. She's begging them for attention. She's being coy but obviously saying, "Ooh, look at me, look at me, look at me." And the problem with that is that she's the wife of the spare. If they got married, she was going to be the wife of the spare. You can't be attention seeking when you're the wife of the spare. Queen Maxima, people argue, is a bit of an attention seeker. I mean, I think a part of it is just her natural charisma. She's very bubbly, more so than her husband, but she's queen. Her husband's king, so obviously he's a blood royal, but she's queen, so she needs to be able to call attention to herself. That's part of the deal. But she needs to be careful not to overshine her husband, but can she be somewhat the center of attention? Yeah, sure, she's queen. Meghan Markle could never be that because she would never be queen. So she would always have to walk 2 steps behind Catherine, 2 steps behind Camilla, and then eventually 2 steps behind her nephews and niece. So Prince George and whoever his wife is, Princess Charlotte, her husband, Prince Louis and his wife. And so that's how royalty works. That's how royals operate. And Meghan Markle could never fit within that box because she always wanted to be first and foremost the center of attention. That's what I noticed, and that's what I knew was going to not work about her relationship with the royals, because she can never be that attention seeking. She couldn't, because that's not her job. All right. So PJDCNTV, thank you so much for the tip. I do appreciate it. And we got Cindy as well. Why, thank you. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying this live stream. And then my cat's name is Karen. Holy crap. All the Chris Posey Spot Sentinel stuff going on. Love it. Karma and all. I try not to talk about him because I try not to go down that route, because people who tend to engage with him, it goes down a weird rabbit hole. In terms of like more that's why my profile, I ignore him on Twitter. But I thought when Threads was announced, like, I think my people are gonna go to Threads. But yeah, Twitter is doing still gangbusters. And Twitter, I'm super excited, is going to offer obviously creative content sharing. I have an idea for like a little video thing I want to do every week, maybe on Twitter. And I may just do that on Twitter, just because I am interested in what Elon Musk is doing. I like mavericks. I like revolutionaries who like to push the limits and change things up. And I think Elon Musk is one of those people. I don't think Christopher Bosey is, because he essentially copied Twitter and put his own name on it and is trying to say his is better than Twitter. I understand why you're doing that, because you like to copy something that's successful, but and Elon, you could say maybe he's not that much of a maverick because he does acquire other companies, but hey, he helped build PayPal, and he helped obviously make Tesla what it is, SpaceX, all those sorts of things. So he's a maverick thinker, and I don't think Christopher Bosey is. Oh, Chris, thank you so much for the super sticker as well. I appreciate it, all the way over from Sweden. And I think if I remember it, you do the tour companies. So I'll have to remember that when I go for September, because I'm so excited to go to Sweden. I can't wait to go to Sweden, guys. I'm so stoked. It's going to be amazing. Van says, is it true that YouTube take half tips, but Patreon, you keep most of it? I'm not sure exactly. I don't think it's half from YouTube. It is a percentage. I'm not sure what that is. So I would say, yeah, I don't know. I think Patreon, yes. And, I've thought of a couple of other different things to do. But yeah, so I thought about Patreon, but it's hard because it's like, oh, I don't know what extra I could do. Because I feel like I would have to do a bunch of things instead of maybe an extra video for a membership on YouTube or something like that. Patreon seems a bit more overwhelming to me for some reason. So that's why I've kind of avoided Patreon, though I think I technically did start one. Helen says, "Hi Brittany, shout out from New Jersey. Love all your content. Always watch you. I would like to know why Nutmeg always looks like trash in all her clothing." Because she dresses like she's a supermodel body type, and she's not. The trick to dressing well is to dress for your body, and that it could be anyway. And she does have a tricky figure. I will give her that. She has longer for her height. Her legs are long and skinny. She has a short torso, not really much of a waist at all. And so that's hard. I think that's harder to dress. I think somebody said, and I think it's true, that peplum style, so that's something that, flares out from your shirt, I think would be probably best on her, because it would give her a waist, which she does not have, which she tries to create. But because she doesn't have one, I feel like it makes her look bigger when she overly focuses on trying to create a waistline. So interesting. So let's go down here. I watched the PDina channel this morning, and she said Harry called William to asking if he could come back, and Meghan is mad. Is this for real? I've seen it in a couple of, I would see, outlier publications. I think it started like In Touch, and I just don't know if I totally buy In Touch. I usually try to wait again for big publications like the Times, Telegraph, sometimes the Daily Mail, because they do get good things to publish things. Because I just try to wait to make sure. And I don't think at this point, I don't know if Harry's quite there yet, so we shall see. But yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know if he's totally there yet. Did you see the picture of the prince that recently got married with his wife? They looked pretty good. I think I did, yeah. And of course, a lot of them look really good. They look great, actually. And there's so many other extended royals out there that it's just fun. So let's go. Is Meghan Markle actually journalist Jacqueline Queen? I have no idea. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if she has accounts and she's monitoring everything on social media. Because again, she's rather obsessed. Bobby says, "Why should the king pay Meghan anything? He didn't marry her." Yeah, no, and he wouldn't pay anything. Again, I don't think that's true, because he can't. He doesn't have that much liquid cash, I don't think, to outright give her $50 million. No. And they're supposedly trying to make their own way. And so Charles, I'm sure he does, he goes, "Well, I thought you wanted to make your own way. Aren't you making your own money?" That's what I would do. Linda says, "What have the Markle said about the time Doria was absent from Meghan's life?" Nothing. So yeah, that's really, it is interesting, because again, she was clearly missing, and Meghan spent a lot of time with her father. But again, I think that's a narrative Meghan didn't tell Harry, and so that's a big question. PJD CNTV, nice lighting accents your hair and eyes. Why, thank you. I set these up, and I was super excited because I have my general setup here, which is nice. Romy, super seeker, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I appreciate your support. And Alyssa says, "I was a broadcast journalist for a short time. I went into psychology. I was pulled to learn, help others." I think you are a natural journalist with integrity. Do you have a PO box where it could send you a small royal gift? I do technically have one. So I try not to publish it, just because it is strange out there in the royal world. So, but I may be able to get something to you. But thank you. I really do appreciate it. Yes, I offer commentary of I do. I really do try to make sure I come at sources that are good, that I feel like are credible, and things that generally make sense. I try to deal with logic and human behavior as much as possible, because people do, and that's somewhat coming from being a historian, because history changes, our lifestyles changes, how people interact the technology we have changes, but human behavior generally does not. People act in the same way they have for centuries. In a lot of ways, we just display it differently. So it is just interesting to see. Thora says, "What is Harry going to do in Africa?" So I don't know. I think supposedly, well, they were going to do something with midwives in Africa, but I'm not sure if that's I don't know. I don't know. Margaret says if Harry really believes she loves him, he's a fool. The only person she loves is herself. I think that's true. I think that's true. I don't think that helps. And then Riz says that curtsy situation is one of the most highly disrespectful things to see, especially on the video over and over again. Wow. Yes. Yeah. It went. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was. I just couldn't believe she did that. I was like, oh my gosh, are you joking me right now? You just mocked the Queen of England after her death. I know she wasn't dead when you filmed that, but you should have begged and pleaded for them to pull that. That she didn't. Oh, maybe she did though, and Netflix is like, no. Because again, Netflix has no desire to protect her reputation. All they want is the content that's gonna make them money. If Meghan making a fool of herself makes them money, they're gonna do it. And so Rikla, yeah, asked, do you own any royal replica tiaras? I do not. I don't like replicas. If I was gonna own any tiara, guys, it would be a real one. I have a couple little crown things I got somewhere. I don't think you can see them on my bookshelf. They kind of blend in. So I have a couple of like little crown things that are just like for fun. They're not replicating anything, but I don't think I would buy a replica just because I'd want the original. So yeah, there was a tiara that came up for auction. I was like, dang. I was like, oh, we need a tiara fund. That way we can, we can buy it and then like we could have an event and then everybody could spend like 10 minutes wearing one and just for fun. So that would be fun. So let's go. Jamie says, do you think they will divorce to keep treading water safe face? I think it'll take a little bit more time for them to divorce, but I do think it's in the cards again at some point. Again, they don't have anything in common. You have the additional stress of a failing business, huge bills, stress with family, friends, Harry being totally isolated. At some point, Harry changed everything about himself to please her. At some point, he is going to migrate back to more of his natural baseline. And that will happen because it does. You can't totally change yourself forever unless it's something like he's done it to please her, not to improve himself. And because of that, at some point you do kind of revert because you're not doing it for good reasons. You're not doing it because you want to be better. You're just doing it because you want to please X person. And so that does come back to bite you. The Samurai Hobbit, thank you so much again for the tip. Hey, Megsy, if the whole Harry thing fails, you can always marry into the Kim family. You'll be an A-lister there and nobody will criticize you. Yes. Again, I don't understand why she just didn't date Harry, break up with him, and then move on to bigger and better things, because that would have been so much easier. Because again, you're not bringing all the scrutiny on yourself, because as a royal, you are supported by the taxpayer. And because of that, there is an additional level of investigation into you. There's a different level of review into you because that's naturally what happens. You are royalty. Your people are making money. Not making money. Sorry, that's not the right word. You are being paid for or supported your lifestyle by the taxpayer. You are an extension of the government. You are a diplomat. There are so many things you are as a royal that you are not as a normal citizen or even a Hollywood celebrity. So it's just so different. But she treated it like Hollywood, and that was her massive, massive mistake. Stacey H says, why do you think Chelsea stayed with H for so long? She seems to have a lot going for her. Yeah, she's a lawyer now. She's she has a travel company, but I think she genuinely loved him. I think she genuinely enjoyed spending time with him. And it's just sad that they're married. That they were able to go the distance, because I think she is probably one of the few people or one of the few romantic partners who probably loved him for him. I think Meghan, all she saw was dollar signs. My cat's name is Karen. Thank you again for the tip. I keep hearing that Markle versus Markle case is moving forward here in Florida. If it does, I'm there driving 6 hours to see that in person. That would be very interesting. I don't think it's a huge case though, because defamation is incredibly hard to prove. You have to prove that it impacted somebody's livelihood. And so that is the standard that Samantha has to reach. So it'll be interesting to see if she can prove that her livelihood has been impacted. I'm sure it has to a certain extent, but it's also given her some amazing opportunities as well. Justine says, what do you think about the Waleses traveling together as a family? It drives me crazy and very reckless of Catherine and William. She should travel separately with the boys, Will's with Shar. I think so, especially flying. They definitely should not be flying together anymore. I know it's weird. I know it's tough, but they should not be doing that. It's just incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And I'm sure it's tough as a family to realize you can't travel as a family. And I understand and I appreciate that they want to, but at the same time, there is a security issue to consider, and planes do crash. Hate to say that, but they do. It's very rare, but it does happen. And helicopters, especially sometimes. And they're the best way to secure a republic for the UK is for something to happen to the Wales' family, because ain't nobody going to want Harry and Meghan on the throne. I can tell you that much. Chris, I will be your authorized guide in Sweden. Yay, thank you. I'm super excited about going to Sweden. Can't wait for your next live with your family dogs. They are so adorable. Why, thank you. Yes, they are absolutely crazy. It was very entertaining to have basically 4 dogs in one house and them all trying to get on the video. Miss Pippa was not having it. My cat's name is Karen, about Shannon and Lester lawsuit. Yes, pink hand waving, hand peek waving, hand peek waving. Yeah. So Shannon Lester, she's a YouTuber. She was one of the people featured in Harry and Meghan's documentary, which I thought was really interesting because she's has maybe before then 3, maybe 4 videos on Harry and Meghan in the collection of all her videos, which is not that much. And it was just crazy that she was included. I felt like was very odd, because it's like she's not one of the channels that actually focuses on Harry and Meghan. Like my channel, Taz's Murky Meg, those channels would make more sense because they focus on Meghan more. I didn't even know the 2 other people that they showed. No idea who they were. And that's just absolutely, I think it was something that they did to avoid people going to the better YouTube channels on Harry and Meghan and maybe getting a different perspective. So even though Shallon was part of that, who has spoken against Harry and Meghan, it was interesting that they chose her when she does so little in that direction. I think it was to perhaps avoid channels that have even more to say about Harry and Meghan. So that it shows that even though they are trying to draw attention to these channels, they're also trying to deflect too. Ella says, what is your advice to Harry and Meghan to be successful? Work. Number 1, you need to work. Hard work. I know it's hard. But actually find things you're good at. Don't try to be creative when you're not really a creative. That just generally won't go that well. When you don't have a career that suits you, you are going to be miserable. And I think that's what's going on. If they divorce, would they go through the U.S. courts? Probably, but they would have to file some paperwork, I'm sure, in the UK. Asma says, Meghan will make the Africa trip all about her. She's going now, wondering why people asking if she's okay. Yes. Water Dragon says, I love Brittany's British hat. It was lovely. She needs more of those. Yeah, you can actually see I have my 2 up there on the top. They are very cute, very fun. I do love them. I'm looking forward to getting more, although they're a pain in the patuckas to bring back on an airplane. They really are. They really are tough because they don't have really small hat boxes, and they are, you could say, big-ish. So, and you don't want them to get damaged. But I have found a cool way to get them through the airport, and it works pretty well. So I'm happy about, but the rest of it, no. Asma asks, is Cressa glad she dumped Harry? Yes, she is, because her other boyfriend's Harry, he's hot. He's much hotter than Harry, so I understand it. Kimberly says, Harry needs Jesus to change his life and heal him emotionally. Yes. Looking forward to it in drugs is probably not the best way to go. Somebody asked, where is Miss Pippa? She's chilling around here somewhere. She's sleeping. I want to have someday like a camera trained on her while I'm doing live streams, so you guys can check out what she's doing. Although probably she's just sleeping and then moving and getting more comfortable as she changes her sleeping position. Maria says, yes, all dogs together, you answering royal questions. That was the perfect show. Thank you. Although that was Miss Pippa was not having it. Miss Pippa was not having it. She's not a fan of other dogs. She really isn't. It is very cute though. She is very much rules the house, so it's very cute. My cat's name is Taryn. I heard last minute edit included her. It was originally Wally Taz and other YouTubers didn't want to be seen against the middle-aged housewife. If they're editing the Invictus Games to take her out, I wouldn't be surprised. Because she just doesn't make sense as being a big feature of it, but it definitely felt like she wanted to be a big feature of it. So E asked Blackburn, Brittany, what are you drinking? Is it kava shot? No, it's actually chocolate milk. I usually have hot chocolate, but it's hot. And so it's called, I think, Promised Land. It's super good chocolate milk. I love my things really rich. And so it is so good. So yeah, it's just chocolate milk, guys. And yes, I realize I do have the taste of like a 12-year-old, but I'm okay. I accept that about myself. So Maury says, stop referring to Princess of Wales as Kate Middleton. There's a reason I do that. And I actually want to do like a short video, maybe on TikTok or something about it. And the reason is it's something called search engine optimization, which means that in the search engines, Catherine Best comes up as Kate Middleton. That's how people Googled her for 10 years before her marriage. The name stuck after her marriage. And so within the cache of the search engines, Kate Middleton does far better than the Princess of Wales, because most of the time that comes up as Princess Diana. Even when you put in today in Getty Images, Princess of Wales, and you're not doing newest, the first thing that comes up is a picture of Princess Diana. And search engines are smart, but they're dumb. So because people for years and years and years have searched Kate Middleton, that is what performs better in the search algorithms. And when it comes to YouTube, somebody described YouTube to me once as a Google basically with videos. So because of that, most people put in still Kate Middleton. I still do it when I search for things. So I know other people do it too. And so that is why I still use Kate Middleton in titles of videos, because it performs better. It just does. So Princess Catherine doesn't do quite as well. Princess Kate. Other outlets do it. You'll notice oftentimes if they're some of the bigger outlets, they, in terms of like the Times of London and stuff, they generally don't. They're, you could say, quote unquote, more professional. But when it comes to being picked up by other news outlets, Kate Middleton is better. It just is. And so I hate to say it that way, but that's how the search engines function. So that's why I use Kate Middleton, and I usually put in the text of the video in the video description, the Princess of Wales, aka Kate Middleton. And again, that's because when Google is basically Google looks through your content. And so the title and some of the first words of the paragraph of the article or the video or whatever they need to reference each other. So that's what I usually do. So I even put Kate Middleton there just because it needs to reference. So I hope that helps. It is a search algorithm thing. And so I know I've shared that several times, but I think it's important for people to know that's why people do it. It's not the best, but it's actually how it works. It's how it works. And so in the form of the system, I think Kate Middleton still does better. So yeah, Noble asked, why do people still asking that question? I mean, they're safeguarding, Kate. They want to support her, and that is, I mean, I appreciate that, but it is the truth. I've tried to use other things, but Kate Middleton does better. Jenny says, are you going to do a Scotland trip? Yes, I'm planning on it. I have a meeting with people next week about that. I'm hoping to do another one to London as well. And this one would hopefully, I need to get the exact dates, so coincide with at the end of the trip. So it wouldn't be part of the trip. But if you wanted to stay after the trip, there would be a chance to maybe, I would like to end it a couple of days before perhaps Trooping the Color. So that way, if people wanted to stay for that, maybe gather and do some of it together, then we could do that. So that helps too if people want to use the restroom. So Crunchy Dragon says, would it be okay to call her Kate Windsor? She can't use Windsor or Mountbatten Windsor because she's not a blood royal. And again, it wouldn't do well in the search engines. You got to utilize what most people search her under. And when it comes to the system, Kate Middleton far surpasses Duchess Kate, Princess of Wales, yada, 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 the other iterations. And so that's just how it works, how people, not only how people recognize, but how people tell the system to recognize her. That is the thing. So anyways, Suzanne says, hi, shocked to read Revenge that Meghan was fast-tracked with security office money privileged staff, all because she was a girlfriend of the Queen's grandson. Yes, and because she made a fuss about the color of her skin, that was the thing too. And they didn't want to be seen as quote-unquote racist. So they did everything they could to please her, and it was never, ever enough. But she wanted to be queen. She wanted to be the same level of Catherine, and she couldn't be. So that's how that works. My cat's name is Carol. I would love to know what's going on with Tyler Perry and Meghan. Yeah, that would be interesting to know. But yeah, I don't think they're it'd be interesting. But yeah, I think signing your brand to Meghan Markle, I don't think is the best thing to do. Amazing Fayez, I have double doubted that as well. Did she pay someone to take her tests? I mean, at school she could have. It would have been kind of ironic because it kind of fits with her love interest in Suits. But people can be smart and yet also not work hard. If that makes sense. Like they're good at test taking. Like I'm terrible at test taking. I'm terrible at it. But I would think of myself as a fairly smart person. So I don't think test taking is necessarily indicative of intelligence. Yeah. Tea Time with Memma says, I have MS and I have officially difficulty walking sometimes. What is a trip level activity? I would love to go on one. So thank you so much for the tip. Thank you so much for the questions. So yes, we do. I mean, I would say generally walking in Europe is just kind of, it's easiest to get around, but this is not a super big activity level. So we will go, at least in the Germany, Austria trip, we will go on a walk. We will go on walks around places. And so we'll do a walking tour of Munich. It was originally going to be a bike tour, but the bike tour on London did not go over super well and ended up being overly long. And so I don't think I'd do that again. So I just changed it to a walking tour. So most of it would be walking. But it is hard because the ground does tend to be somewhat uneven. You're dealing with a lot of cobblestones. And so it's somewhat easy to get around, but it also does require a decent amount of walking. I know on our day in London, when we did Tower of London, St. Paul's, and Kensington Palace, that was a long walking. And I know some people were struggling a bit at the end of the day, but it was a really easy way to get everywhere. So we did walking and we did the subway. So okay. The Bren Week said Brittany Diana called herself Diana Windsor many times, including phone calls and letters. She could call herself that, but she couldn't be legally that. Only blood royals can be legally a Windsor. Like, so when William and Catherine filed their lawsuit against the photography company that took those topless pictures of Catherine when they were vacationing, she on the legal papers was legally Catherine Middleton. And that is because, again, she can't be Catherine Windsor, and she may call herself that from time to time, but she can't be legally that. So that is why. Do you think Meghan's miscarriage really happened? Could have, not sure. Always a question. You never know. So, yeah, it's a big question. But I think the hard part is Meghan always over dramatizes things. And so it's hard to know what's truth and what's fiction because everything feels so overly dramatic and overly produced. So, so my cat's name is Karen says, how many things did everyone here Meghan wanted to do over the last few weeks? Bodyguard, Dior, Tig, POTUS. I mean, she puts out a lot of things, but I don't think really all that much of it is true. And so, Erica says Meghan married him because she only focused on the love of Diana. She didn't know research. Yes, she does. She does. Yeah, absolutely true. The Riz says the Tower of London requires tons of walking, stairs, tight spots, but was fascinating just wear some type of athletic shoes. Yes. So good shoes are key in Europe because it is just very easy to walk places. But when you are in some place like the Tower of London, which is quite old, spaces will be tight. because people generally were smaller and space was something that was just different how they looked at things. Even in your hotel, you'll notice elevators are smaller. And when you're trying to get in there, there's a hotel I've stayed at once, and I'll say it again this September, where it's like very tight to get in the elevator. It's a small elevator. And I go to the room. The room's very small. It's just space in Europe is different. But yes, good walking shoes help a ton. But it is. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh yeah, it's so easy. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I love walking, but yeah, there's a lot of walking. But you can always, say, "Hey, I'm going to take a taxi and go to the next location." Because I told people that, "Hey, if you want to take a taxi to go to our next location, totally fine. You don't have to walk with us if that's more difficult." So yeah. Crunchy Dragon, sometimes they have those awful skinny stairs. Yes, spiral staircases are like oh my gosh, they're a tough thing. So when I went to Germany, there was a church we walked up years and years ago, and so you can walk up to the bell tower, and so they're the circular staircases. So that means there's a narrow part and then it gets wider. People were going up and down on the same staircase, and so you were in the narrow spaces, and like you were almost crawling up on the narrow spaces, and then you kind of got the wide spaces going down. It was so claustrophobic. It was awful. But we will, guys, kind of slow down here, but hold on. Guess who just wanted to make an appearance? It's Miss Pippa. She was enjoying sleeping. She's enjoyed sleeping. So she is enjoyed having her cousin here this week, but she's glad to be an only puppy again. She's an only puppy. She likes being by herself. Martin says, for any donation, options, YouTube, etc., all take a hefty chunk of commission and give you what's left. Are there more efficient ways to regularly support you without extra perks in return? Yeah, if you want to, I do have a link to PayPal. And so that usually gives you more the commission. So if you guys want to ever to donate there, that would be great and help with the growth of the channel and all that we do here. Because yeah, definitely the September trip will be, that'll be pricey for me after a while staying in the hall. I mean, I can't wait, but it'll definitely be a bit of a pricey trip, but I can't wait to go and can't wait to show you guys everything we experience. It's gonna be so fun. But yes, Miss Pippa, thank you. And so and it helps Miss Pippa with her little bone collection as well, because she loves bones and she thinks they are magnificent and wonderful. Like she loves all you. Do you see, Miss Pippa? Do you see? Oh, there we go. She really doesn't. I'm trying to get her to see. But she really doesn't. But she is a happy girl for the most part. And she enjoys cuddles and Saturday morning live stream. She thinks they're fun. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful rest of the week. More videos coming very soon. Can't wait to get my suits reaction together. It'll be so fun. So guys, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Have a great time with family and friends this weekend. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye. Oh, kisses. Bye. Oh. All